would like to begin by acknowledging the traditional custodians of the land on which I live and work, the Gundungurra land, and people. I pay my respects to their elders, past, present, and emerging, and extend that respect to all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people. I also want to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the lands on which you, our listeners, are joining us from today. I recognise the deep connection that First Nations people have to this land, their enduring culture, and their commitment to the preservation and care for their country. This land was never ceded, and it always was and always will be Aboriginal land. Hey there, and welcome to Beyond the Surface, the podcast where we explore the stories of people who have survived religious trauma, left high control or cult communities, and are deconstructing their faith. I'm your host, Sam, and each week I'll talk with individuals who have taken the brave step to start shifting their beliefs that might have once controlled and defined their lives. Join us as we dig into their experiences, the challenges they've faced, and the insights they've gained. Whether you're on a similar journey or you're just curious about these powerful stories, you're in the right place. This is Beyond the Surface. Welcome, Brandie. Thanks for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
I am excited about this episode. I was telling you just before I hit record that you are going to be the first episode of its kind, and I'm not going to do any spoilers for people listening just yet, but you are going to be the first of that. And so I'm excited to have something a little bit different, but also that I think will be really relatable for a lot of listeners and to see some crossovers between what they're used to hearing on my podcast and what you are going to talk about. So I'm grateful to have you here. To start, where in the world are you at the moment?
I'm in Toronto, Ontario, Canada.
Beautiful. What's the weather there like? We are crossing over between winter into spring, hence why I'm a little nasally because like the weather change is not fun over here. What's it like there?
We are going from summer into fall, and it's been the most beautiful fall this year. It's been
Oh,
really warm and pleasant. Yeah.
oh, lovely. Beautiful. Okay, I like to start these episodes with a super broad and vague question, which is where does your story start?
Ooh. I love that. And I knew that was your question, and I should have had an answer prepared.
It's fine. Most people don't. I remember when I recorded my own episode and I had it asked to me, and I was like, I know that's the question, but I still don't know
Yeah.
how to answer it.
1979, a warm March morning. No.
Uh,
Uh, so in tw 13 years ago, in 2012, when I was a first-time mother, I would say that was probably where the story begins.
okay.
Feeling, yeah, feeling a
Yeah.
lot of feelings.
Yeah. I mean, it's a huge time of change. What was going on at that point and what was going on at that point that makes you feel like that's where the story starts?
Uh, that was the biggest transition I've ever experienced as a human,
Mm,
where I had read everything I could get my hands on about childbirth and about babies, trying to prepare, trying to foolishly think that I could fully prepare and therefore control this experience, which
yeah.
I would realize would be wildly different than how I expected it from the birth to the baby rearing.
Yeah.
Uh, I found it to be quite isolating. I felt that nobody talks. I mean, nobody talks about so many things.
Yeah.
Nobody talks about what it's like to be elderly either. Nobody also talks about being a first-time parent and the truth. And culturally, there's this expectation, unrealistic expectation that and shoes that I was trying to fill, which were absolutely impossible. So I felt like I was floundering,
Mm,
and I felt like I wasn't measuring up, and I felt very isolated.
mm. Where did you turn to?
Well, great question. So eventually, I ended up finding a particular style of parenting and parenting expert
Mm,
that seemed to make things feel easier in that it was normalizing a lot of what I was experiencing. A lot of the books say babies should be sleeping through the night by 4 months old, and things like that that made made
I
me
don't
feel
have
like,
kids and I
but
know that's insane.
yeah.
Oh,
Well, and in the mom groups and in the, programs, it was really a badge of honor to have your baby sleeping through the night. And I
mm,
now know just how, no matter what you decide to do, everybody is incredibly stressed out and struggling. But I found some material that told me that no, it's completely normal for babies to wake up through the night, and this is why they're waking up. And it's beneficial to, they would say, parent your baby to sleep. If you need to rock your baby to sleep, that's okay. It's actually beneficial. And I was like, oh, okay, because I thought I was doing everything wrong. So that was quite a hook.
mm,
And there is a lot of, there's always truth to the hook as well.
mm.
So I wasn't doing anything wrong. And I am also putty now uh, for influence,
Yeah,
if that makes sense.
absolutely. And
Mhm.
and I imagine that sort of like hook and influence is something that we will continue talking about. But what was
Mhm.
it like what was it that got you hooked in and what were you hooked into? Like
Okay.
what yeah.
Yeah. So prior to my son being born, I worked in human resources for a fitness club chain, and it's quite a high demand workplace, I would say, in that my hours were 50 hours a week minimum. And I did a lot of traveling for my job. And my husband at the time I had the salary and benefits, and he did not yet.
Right.
So his work was more precarious. And so following this style of parenting where I've given up on trying to get him to sleep through the night. I'm leaning in to, you know, this baby-led style.
Mm,
And I'm less stressed and I'm more stressed because how am I gonna go back to work? And even doing so, what do I make after childcare? What am I actually bringing home? And it didn't make sense. It was like nothing.
yeah.
And I was like, I can't make this make sense. Um, that's the unfortunate capitalist culture that I'm
Yeah.
living in here where
Yeah.
it would be nice if we had more supports. But we don't.
Yeah.
So I couldn't make it make sense. And I thought maybe there's a way I can earn money from home.
The magic words, isn't it? Making money from home. I mean, we talk about working from home now, but it's like a different language now than it used to be. And a lot of people don't actually know this about my own story, which is I was part of an MLM for a little while. And I was actually just really shit at it. But like the magic words of like being able to work from home is just like it's like a diamond in the rough, right? Like it's what you want to hear. And I work with a lot of religious trauma. So, and I see a lot of religious trauma and I see a lot of Christian women, particularly in the US, falling into these places as well because
Hmm.
they want to make money, but they need to be able to do that from home
Hmm.
whilst they're child rearing. And so, what did um, what about those words would just felt like I need to do that?
Well, I want to like put a little bookmark on the Christian aspect,
Yeah.
and I hope we can come back to that because that's
Yes.
super important.
Yeah.
Um, but I just thought, I actually wasn't looking at MLMs at first. I was
Mm.
thinking like maybe I can take some
Yep.
certifications, I was really coming out of the fitness environment. I was really into wellness, which is a nice
Hmm.
That's a nice intersection there with the
Yeah.
MLM. Uh, so I was like, what can I do? I was like literally taking to the internet, what can I do? And I found that my favorite parenting guru actually had a coaching program to
So
coach family
convenient.
health and nutrition. So I was like, oh my gosh,
Oh,
perfect, because I already trust this person and they've already saved my sanity as a parent. So
yeah.
I took attended the webinar, learned more about the program and the cost and the time commitment and all of that.
Mm.
Signed up, took took the training and bought tons of workbooks and promotional materials to start my new business as a I feel really naive in retrospect. I was really idealistic
Yeah.
and really hardworking, like really gave my all. I truly didn't know what being an entrepreneur was really about. And one thing I should add is I would much later, like after I got out of this whole mess, learn that I have ADHD. I got a diagnosis late in life, and
Yeah.
I do believe that there is some social naivete. I don't know how to pronounce that,
Yeah.
that someone like me truly takes people at their word.
Mm.
Um, and that's not being stupid, although there is still some shame that I carry. I know that if I'm to talk to myself like a friend, I know that it's not stupidity. It's idealism.
Yeah.
So yeah, nobody's banging on my door asking to come to my workshops or get coached by me. So I'm like, ooh,
Mm.
okay, back to the drawing board. What am I gonna do? And I thought, well, also this this parenting guru also sells a supplement, and
Of
I
course.
and and I get a package in the mail
Oh.
from the daughter of this doctor, inviting me to be part of their mission,
Yeah.
which is to inspire healthy living around the world and
Mm.
earn a residual income. And it fits right in with this coaching. It fits in perfectly.
Yeah.
So there was other like MLMs were pretty big in my community at that time because I was in that demographic of young mother, which is the most preyed upon, of course.
Yeah.
And there was a woman who drove a white Mercedes in my building from Arbonne. So people were pitching around. So I already had my spidey senses up for that. But I also had this trust in like, well, he is has a thriving medical practice, author of best-selling books.
Yeah.
His daughters are reps. So why would he recommend this to them? And
Mm.
this is where the Christianity comes into play
Yep.
because the worldview is that this is just a little fun money for you to
Mm.
have some fun and be home with your babies.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's no sense of labor exploitation or anything like that because the
Yeah.
man is who's expected to do that.
Yeah.
So I didn't realize any of that at this time.
Yeah, I mean, and it's so well hidden anyway that why would you question it or realize it or notice it at the time? Because it looks great and it looks flashy and it looks like it's going to be supportive and help you gain the freedom and the success that you are wanting, right?
And a sense of purpose and a
Yeah.
community.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
community validating my choices.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, like you mentioned, all of the webinars and the books and the supplements and the things like that. I think one of the biggest things that I think a lot of people don't necessarily realize is what investing in yourself and investing in this business looks like. on a very practical financial level. And so, what was
Hmm.
the impact of that? Because, it's being pitched to typically like people who are, first-time mums or mothers in general. And it's not as though it's being pitched to rich people a lot of the time. But like, what
Hmm.
does that investment look like practically as well?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I also it brings in the aspect of privilege here as well because my husband who was precariously employed ended up becoming securely employed. It
Mm,
enabled me to go on as long as I could have.
yeah,
So a lot of people leave maybe sooner because they can't
yeah.
access the credit and the other things that ultimately meant that over the course of a 10-year span, I
Mm,
would end up spending when I calculated all of the expenses that are required to go all in, which
yeah.
you were told is the way to do it is go all in and believe. It ended up being $115,000 over the course of that time.
Oh my goodness.
So, yeah, so there was a time where I was making an income of 3,000 to maybe 1 month I may have made close to 4,000 Canadian.
Mm,
But there was many, many years where I was making less than minimum wage and spending more than I was making.
yeah.
So by the time I reached that peak during the pandemic, which of course was where all the MLMs were exploiting all of the vulnerabilities going on, that was where I hit the peak. And inevitably, that would have crumbled like quicksand, anyways, as it is across the board, as we're seeing. But I also hit a burnout, and that's when I ended up having to take a break, and that's when I ended up having to leave, which was my husband found very frustrating timing because I was finally, he was like, "This is back pay, like you take this." And I was
Yeah.
like, I can't associate anymore.
Yeah.
But
When you first started this process and joined, I guess, and started doing all of the selling and all of the things, what was expected of you whilst you were in it?
mhm. Okay, so we had a daily method of operation, it's called DMO,
Hmm. Very
where
corporate.
we there
Uh,
was your we had worksheets. Actually, I want to is it okay if I like pull one up just so
yeah.
I'm getting all the numbers right? Because it's just like with all these things, there's so much to keep track of, which is how they make your brain
Mm,
explode and not have room for anything else.
yeah.
So we had a DMO and I will tell you exactly. I got it. I got it. Um, okay, 2010 5-1 success formula. So each month you invite 20 people to events. So you have your calendar, and your calendar should be full of events. So if you're not making money, they'll say, "Show me your calendar and I'll show you your paycheck." So I, being very specific, ADHD brained
Yeah.
person, I would do exactly what I was told.
Yeah.
Yet, it is an insurmountable amount of work. So no matter what, you always feel like you're still not doing enough.
Mm,
So you have your calendar, it's filled with events. What are the events? They are events that you are hosting, they are events that you're plugging into that other people are hosting, and they're on a variety of topics, basically picking on different vulnerabilities that people may have. So there might be an autism event and an autoimmune event and a cancer event and a homeschooling moms event, for example. This could be
yeah.
like typical month, and a business event. During COVID, our business events were called, wait for it, maybe you were born for such a time as this.
Oh my gosh.
So we got the events.
That sounds very like eerily similar to like every evangelical slogan I've ever heard.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's
Oh,
very evangelical, which I did
yeah.
not know I was joining a commercial church, I guess.
Yeah.
So each month you invite 20 people to the event. So anytime you're meeting someone, you're like, which one are you
You're boxing them
asking
in. Yeah.
questions, trying to figure out what would be the best match?
Mm.
10 of them should respond yes, five should become customers, and one should join your team. That's the 20-10-5-1 success plan. Then you have your 222. So every day you're calling six people,
Yeah.
two customer follow-ups, two business follow-ups, and two prospect follow-ups. So
Right.
people that you've maybe sent information about the products and you're following up. Um, the customer follow-ups, you might be like doing a survey on their satisfaction, you're engaging them. I'm the kind of person that when I call somebody, it's going to be an hour-long thing. Like I don't know how to get off the phone really easily. It's succinctly.
Yeah.
So
Uh,
this is one example of how it's just unattainable. So
yeah.
I would do a lot of messaging, like DMs or voice clipping. I found that to be a hack that would allow me to be able to
Yep.
get everything I needed to get done. So that is the daily method of operation, and then you've got the big in-person events. And so you've got the conference, which happens twice a year, which if you need to show up and be a
Yeah.
leader, and then there's like the regional events.
Hmm.
So you got to be a leader and get an Airbnb and get your team to go and cover it. And those are, some of the other expenses that
Mm.
are just adding on.
Yeah. I mean, I have like so many thoughts about the amount of work all of that is, but I just feel like the irony is the biggest thing that stands out to me of like this is being
Yeah.
given to like
Being present
young
with your
mums.
children.
Yes, I was
Yeah.
like, how on earth are you ever being present with your child or your children whilst you are having to do like that's sometimes more work than a full-time job is
Oh,
happening, and it's 24/7. Like you are
it's
always having to be on.
always on. And I didn't even
Yeah.
mention the content creation and the
Yeah.
exploitation of your children to be unpaid spokespeople for this commercial
Oh,
cult,
yeah.
which is a whole part of, one piece of the moral injury when you realize at the
Yeah.
end of it. It is, and though how they get away with this because it is constant. Like, can
Mm.
you? Well, I'm sure you can imagine actually, me talking to people and always having an agenda on your mind of like evangelizing
Yeah.
or just pulling information to then use.
Yeah.
So it's always on your mind. It becomes your full identity, but you're not working, you
Mm.
are part of a mission. So it is all consuming, and the boundaries between life and it are just one big
Mm.
glob that
Yeah.
you can't discern where it starts and where it ends. So,
And did that recruitment come naturally to you? Or was that a natural part of your personality, or did that feel forced?
a natural part of my personality is, and thank goodness I decided to go down the path of becoming a psychotherapist because the unconditional positive regard comes
Yeah.
very naturally to me.
Uh,
So I do see people and I think, you're amazing, you're amazing, you're amazing.
mm.
Uh, and that part was a strength. Like I love you have a post about what are the super skills that you
Oh,
got
yes.
from, and I'm like,
Uh,
well, yeah, I mean, that would be one. Graphic design was another one.
yeah.
I could make a good flyer on
Yeah.
Canva.
Yeah. I mean, and uh, I think there's also, I'm curious though, because there's a difference between being a natural, like, people person, interested in people, curious about who they are, and and then having to take it to another level of using that for
Hmm.
your advantage. As like,
Hmm.
I mean, I guess there is like an element where you sort of see like you want it to be their advantage as well. But I mean, there's a
Yes.
level of like seeing and being with someone and then using that to exploit them essentially. And I
Yeah.
remember like, I talk a lot about the fact that like evangelizing, I love people, but evangelizing did not come naturally to me because I didn't
Okay.
want to have to convert people. Um,
Okay.
and so whilst the requirement was there, the inclination to feel like I could tell people what to do was not necessarily
Mm.
strong.
Mhm.
And so, what was that like for you?
Yeah. So those events that I went to religiously
Yeah.
um, uh, were quite indoctrinating.
Yeah.
So I really did believe that I was part of something that was saving lives,
Mm.
and I really did believe that our products could prevent cancer.
Yeah.
I believed that our products could help people who had cancer. I believe that they would help prevent COVID because they showed us a lot of high emotion. They had a lot of experts and doctors, so they use the appeal to what's the logical fallacy where you're appealing
No,
to
I can't
the
think.
expert,
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah.
Um, and like literally there was a film that they showed repeatedly. So we'd watch the same thing multiple times, which I think there often is a lot of repetition in cults,
Yeah.
which was called What If, and it was like what it and it would have like a little girl in a hospital bed, like real people that are really part of this company. What if I didn't call my friend who had just found out she had lupus and so on. And there's this music playing and like it's playing on this big screen um and then we'd be instructed like to now like do the brave thing and reach out to the people because how are you living with yourself knowing what you know and
Yeah.
not sharing it to the people who need it the most.
Yeah.
So I did think, I mean, I will say though, there was certain people that I thought, I just can't see them like possessing the qualities to make an income doing this, but I still think that they should be on the product and maybe they should sign up for the discount.
Right.
So
Yeah.
even if I didn't see the person crossing the stage,
Mm.
I saw them being part of the community in some
Yeah.
way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
So.
Customer, not worker, it sounds like. You saw them in some respect being involved. Yeah.
Right.
As you're talking, the crossovers are just like palpable between like religious cults and secular cults. I think people don't necessarily realize the same tactics are being used. As you're talking, I was like, oh, just like good old-fashioned like emotional manipulation and guilt tripping to try and like tug on those heartstrings, that you
Mhm.
have the answer, that you have the truth, that you have the saving method, and how dare you
Mhm.
not tell somebody else about it, that
Mhm.
that falls on you. That's such a heavy burden to hold for anybody.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, what were they promising? Because, like, that's talking about, I guess, what they're promising other people in that we've got this, like, incredible saving, life-saving thing for you. What were they promising you in terms of like financially, personally, like emotionally? What was being involved in this community? What was that being promised to you as?
So the top ranking leader was the big carrot that was dangled, and it was
Yeah,
called National Marketing Director. But then they would add like three levels more than that, as they always do, because they got to keep that goalpost perpetually out of reach.
yeah,
So as you know, like there's always a new milestone to be going for. So at one point, for example, there was a leadership training that if you hit a certain volume and you had a certain team structure, with people beneath you at certain levels and all these things were met, then you would get part of this leadership training
Yep.
that was led by a very well-known, I can tell you off the record after who it
Yeah.
was, but everybody knows who this person is. So I won. I won. So I paid $100 to take this training, which is just
Right.
more make work, more
Mm.
meetings, more things to add to my daily method. And then I'm trying so hard to legitimize myself as well that I'm taking additional, now I got to be master certified coach. So I just so badly wanted to make this, make meaning out of this,
Yeah.
make it feel like I hadn't made a huge mistake. But there's that sunk cost fallacy. So that's what I didn't know at the time, but that's what I was up against. So I'm just sinking more into it, trying to make this work. So I get that, and then I get the next milestone, the next position, and like a few $100 bonus or whatever it was.
Mm.
And then, the main goal is this national marketing director title. And as I get closer to it, like I was being told, like you are already there. You embody a national marketing director. You literally don't need to do anything different. It's just that your numbers have not caught up to you yet. So just keep going.
Oh boy.
So,
Oh,
so I was until I completely burnt out.
yeah. I mean, and that's what happens when the goalposts keep moving, right? Like they're never in the same spot. They always keep moving. Um,
Mhm.
and yeah. How would you describe, I'm sort of going to ask this question as a dual question, which is like, how would you have described the culture within the organization while you're in it versus
Mhm.
now?
Mhm. Mhm. How would I describe the culture while I was in it versus now? Okay, so the culture while I was in it, so uh it was what I did not know because like in the doctor's books, he doesn't talk about being an evangelical Christian.
Mm,
There is one book that is about like Christian parenting, but it's kind of like hidden, like you can get it used. I don't think you can buy it new anymore, kind of thing. So I didn't really know that was a big part of the culture until probably the first conference that I went to. And that just seemed to like ramp up. Like that seemed to be bigger and bigger part,
mm,
where a lot of people, so the product is called Juice Plus. And so at the conference, there'd be a lot of people wearing these shirts that say JC and JP, like Jesus Christ and Juice Plus. Like that's all I need.
my gosh.
And then my leader, like my up line, like it was all Christian white women. Like it was just all Christian white women.
I'm so
Uh,
shocked.
and one
Oh.
was like also like a Christian personal development coach who has a program that she would sell to her downline who are making nothing. And the dichotomy of like boasting about like what I can do and how I can have, she has this
Yeah.
big nonprofit where oh, I'm gonna go into it, but what I can do because of this company and also like selling programs, additional things. It just blows my mind.
Yeah.
So that they have prayer breakfast at conference, so it's not mandatory, but you can go to prayer breakfast.
I mean, what
It's
happens if you don't
varied.
go though? Like, are you
Oh,
then
I
singled
actually
out?
didn't go to, no, I actually
Okay,
didn't go to prayer
right.
breakfast. Yeah. Um,
Sometimes when things are not mandatory, like they're still like it's still kind of mandatory. If
it
like
may
yeah,
have been in different groups. It may have been
yeah,
in different groups. I think that the person who I worked closely with, I think she was a lesser of other evils that I saw. I shouldn't
yeah,
say evil, but
yeah.
uh yeah, maybe in another team that would have been different, but there was like I know there was another person within our lineage that she tried to shield us from because that person was so out there in
Oh, that's
terms of
interesting.
narcissistic grandiosity and like vampiric energy.
Yeah.
So she did try. So I think part of that was not making, the prayer
Yeah.
breakfast I wasn't given any sort of punishment,
Yeah.
even passive aggressively at all for that.
Mm. Were there
Yeah.
punishments or like how was failure and personal responsibility and stuff dealt with? Like were there
Mm.
consequences and punishments, so to
Yeah,
speak?
well, I would say withholding would probably be the number one.
Yeah.
Like if you weren't doing everything, then you might not get the time of day. You, we're not gonna, like there was an instance, for example, where there was a team member who was really, really frustrated and not seeing success and then she was given tasks to do and if she wasn't doing them then we're going to cancel this coaching, not with me, but
Mm.
I was told don't spend your time with her anymore.
Oh
So
wow.
it was things like that, like I would be told, you know
Mm.
spend your time here, don't spend your time here because they're not kind of, they wouldn't say they're not worth your time, but that would be the underlying
Your
kind of.
essence, yeah.
Yeah, which is very different from like linking arms and doing this together and accepting you for exactly who you are and a sisterhood and a community and a family and all those other things that are used to get somebody to sign up.
Mm. Is that what the community was? Because I mean, I know what church community is like, pitched as and what that belonging looks
Mhm.
like. Is that sisterhood and family and like we are all in this together doing life together? Is that the kind of
Mhm. Doing
language
life
that we,
together.
yeah, I know.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
just
No,
thought
that
I'd
was
pull out
exactly
that.
verbatim.
Is that the kind of language that is being pitched to you as well?
Like the doing life together wasn't
Yeah.
pitched to me like because when I was pitched it was just this envelope in the mail saying like
Yeah.
we would like you to be on our team, and then I did the call and got the information and I said what's the worst that could happen, I'll sign up. But that would then be the language that we would be given upon recruiting other people on which was done through, it's called connection calls, where you have a prospect, you say I really want you to meet my mentor, I've told her about you, you love bomb them,
Yes.
and then you bring them on and you're just love bombing them and asking them questions and like, well, I just think you're amazing. I would just love for you to be part of what we're doing. And in fact, I want you to meet so and so and try to book them on another kind of connection, relational call.
Yeah.
So I would say, the relationship that was definitely a part of it. And when you said like what kind of consequences too, and I said withholding, the other thing would be like FOMO. So
Oh,
anytime there was any sort of event, like going live and posting in our group to show everyone what they're missing by not being there.
yeah,
Like,
right.
yay, so great. And you should really make sure you get to the next one. And so you would feel like, oh, if you're somebody who can't front that,
Mm,
you feel kind of shitty.
yeah. And yeah, and so like what impact did that culture have on your sense of self? Because like a lot of those
Mm,
consequences are not, they are they're like personal ones, right? Like they're the ones
mm,
that you sit with, not necessarily ones that are like they're not necessarily real life like consequences in terms of, actions being taken against you, but
mhm,
you know, they have an impact on your sense of self and your self-worth.
mhm. Yeah. That, so when I started with that company, was I would have called myself more of like a new age woo-woo person. I was like into like Louise Hay affirmations
Yeah.
and The Secret and stuff like that. That
Yeah.
was how I was coming in. And then the Christian evangelical isn't that much different in a lot of ways.
It's just different
So,
words.
yeah. So as I was going along, like my husband is very much the opposite. So
Mm.
I asked him about that pretty recently. Like, how did you, because I've deconstructed from so much,
Yeah.
like like after that, then it was like questioning so many other things from even before I got in,
Mm,
like the manifestation and all of that. And I said, how did you like, because he's always been very scientific, pragmatic. I would sometimes feel like pessimistic and, because I'd be like, we just need to like, it's just gonna happen. The universe has our back, I'd be like that. You'd be like,
yeah.
okay. So I was like, how did you deal with that? And he was
Yeah.
like, it was romantic and it was kind of fun. Like it is intoxicating to kind of be around that energy sometimes, right? So he's like, I love the evolution.
Mm,
Wouldn't change it for the world. We can have like deeper conversations and all of that is great. But anyway, so at a point, I bring that up because at a point I was definitely falling down that like pipeline into evangelical Christianity. And it was a little bit like, what's happening? Like, because he's an atheist.
yeah.
So now I'm like part of a prayer group chat and I'm like, yeah.
Yeah.
So that was get again like during the pandemic, that's when that was all ramping up. Like so many things. It was just a perfect storm for
Yeah.
a lot of conspiracies and Christianity and all of that to just amplify.
Yeah.
So then when I burnt out and I was first there was like a good year that I was just depressed. And I don't know I didn't know why I felt so tired and why I just felt like I just can't do it. I just can't do that anymore. I
Yeah.
don't know. I just felt depressed.
Mm,
That was it. And then when I started to learn about cults, just it would just be like I watched a documentary and then I was like, oh, and then I read more and I'm reading and I'm listening to podcasts and I'm putting the pieces together. And then I'm like, I need to learn everything about this. Then I'm getting my sense of self back and energy back
mm,
because I can make sense of it now.
yeah.
Um, the figuring out who there was such a disorientation of, so that would be the impact on my sense of self, where I think the hardest piece was the conspiratorial and mm, spiritual beliefs, like deconstructing out of that. Like, that was probably the most difficult.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was the burnout what led you out, or were there other things that like cracked that system, so to speak?
It was, what was so weird is before I even took the month off, I watched the documentary for LuLaRoe
Yeah.
just on Amazon Prime, and I didn't even see it.
Mm,
Even watching that, I didn't even see it.
yeah.
All I could see was how different we were because we don't have stockpiles of stuff
Yeah.
like they do. But there was really actually a lot of things that were the same, like the celebrities that come to the conference and all of that stuff. There was so much that was the same, but it was like I couldn't even see it. I could not even see it right in front of my face. Until then, there was nothing except for the fact that it was like the pandemic was so intense with quarantine, lockdown, my husband home, we're all home, and I'm working harder than I ever had before.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh my gosh, we're all on our screens and we're all in the same roof and we're all divided. Like, we need to take a break and just shut it all down for a month and just like, let's just reconnect.
Yeah.
That was and the doctor who is promoting connected parenting, he talks about that, about kids on devices, not about moms on devices, but about kids on devices.
Yeah.
And I can't just take my kids off the devices if I'm not on the device.
Yep.
So we all got to do this because if I'm ripping their iPad away,
Mm,
they're going to be looking to me even more,
yeah.
and I need to be available to help them, like, so that was what started it. Was we agreed as a family to take 30 days off. I deleted my social media apps for a month and then connect. And the month went by so fast and it was immediately an improved dynamic in my home.
Yeah.
And I was like, I can't go back.
Yeah.
Like the idea of going back was just horrifying to me. Just the disconnect.
Yeah.
So I told my uplines I need to take more time. I'm not sure how much longer I need, but I'm not ready.
Mm.
And they were like, the up line with the Christian personal development program said, this is like, she called it a slingshot sabbatical. I went through this too. I took some time back, and then it was like it
Oh, it
propelled me
propelled you
forward.
forward. Right.
Yeah. And I was like, slingshot sabbatical. Okay, I like that. Okay, that's what's gonna happen. And the person I worked with directly, he was actually an up line, because a lot of times people just don't do anything, and then you're reaching up for mentorship.
Mm.
She was like that, you know what? The hardest time for me when life at home was most demanding and I needed to homeschool for a bit, and is when I ended up making the most money. So
Oh,
they were just sweet saccharine syrup.
yeah. Yeah. I mean,
And
that's
then
like,
they sent me a gift box as well with like bath stuff. And they got like my downline to to put to contribute to this. So
oh,
my poor downline is like helped to pay for
yeah.
this gift box. And I remember when that gift box came in, and I hadn't really realized, like I hadn't put things together.
Mm.
But the when the box arrives and I see who it's from, I felt nauseous, which is a sign from my body that knows what my brain isn't ready to know.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, they're using your break as a way to benefit the like that whole spiritual bypassing, silver lining it to like make it something that is worth your while, but is still going to like make you money is
Mhm.
just like I mean, it's insane, but it's strategic and it works.
Yeah, and then I was writing a lot. I would like write, and I
Yeah.
was just writing essays about my life, and I was getting really exploring who I am. And I was sending some of my essays to my uplines, to the up and the up.
Yeah.
And they were responding in the way that I thought like that a really good friend or sister would,
Hmm.
which they'd be like, wow, this is really moving, and I'm like, like hearing it and responding and reflecting back. It was like crickets. And I'm like, it just that was a crack as well, that
Yeah.
widened the crack.
Yeah.
Because then you're starting to see, oh, I'm not, they don't really care about like me. They care about what I represent,
Yeah.
meaning another leader on the team,
Yeah. It's the transactional
another,
element.
yeah.
Was there part of you that was like, as you were sort of starting the cracks, there's more cracks forming, they're widening. Was there a part of you that was worried or fearing leaving this community and this group and this program? And what did actually leaving look like?
So as I started to learn more, I was kind of talking to my husband about leaving, and he was saying, this is like how many years you worked for less than minimum wage, spending actually not less than minimum, you literally paid to work.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, you were paying them to perform labor. So just be quiet, do the minimum, and collect the paychecks for as long as it can go on until it dries out. You don't owe them anything. They promised you residual income. You're here now, collect that residual income.
Mhm.
And and then another month will go by, and it was killing me. I was feeling like sick. And when the 10th of the month would come in and the money would get deposited in my account, I'd be like,
Yeah.
and I was like, this is like, eventually I thought I just need to show him that I can like make up the money somewhere else. And I said, I will babysit children. I'll do anything to just quit. And he was like,
Yeah.
okay. I'm like, I see it now. I can see it on your face. I see it. I hear you. Do what you need to do. So then I did quit.
Yeah. Because what did
And
that
I was
money
so
represent to you every time it came in? Like, what were you?
to me, it represented all the people that I had left there, that I had left in there, that I had recruited in, and they were just still there, just feeling like they were failing and not going anywhere. And I wanted to I wanted to tell them what I knew.
Mm,
And I couldn't. I was gagged as long as I was accepting that money. And it felt morally wrong. I had learned things, and I felt like I had to correct my wrongs. I was well intentioned, but now I know better, and now I need to tell people.
yeah.
And I couldn't, obviously, that was hard because I couldn't go call people that were in the company. I was scared of getting into trouble. So I figured I would just I knew people would be hate stalking me. So I thought, I'll
You
just
say
start
that
a
so
Substack.
casually.
I'll just, let's be honest.
Oh, yeah.
So I started a Substack and I started putting all my thoughts there. And I knew people would be easily able to find it.
Yeah.
And one of those things was an open letter to my team, because when I did let them know, I basically said nothing except, if you want to talk, I'm always happy to hear from you.
Yeah.
And people that I did talk to, I would just ask them how they were doing. And if they said it's not really going good and I'm starting to wonder and I'm starting to doubt, then I would validate them and then let them know where they could find more information about, and that they're not crazy, they're absolutely right.
Yeah.
So some of them are still there just for the community, which is
Yeah.
really sad in my opinion, because it's not an actual community. It's a leeching system.
Yeah. I mean, it's conditional community. It's like based on what you can give them as opposed to what, who you actually
Mhm.
are and those relationships. But um, it's so hard because you don't realize it's conditional until you're actually realizing the impact
Mhm.
of those conditions. It's so hard. Um,
And also, sorry, I just want to
yeah.
mention one thing about fear induction, because there is so much fear around, like the product is used to induce fear
Mm,
of the world, of toxins, of lack of nutrition, of nutrient, like blah blah blah.
mm,
And that's a part that keeps people stuck into, is they're literally afraid of what
mm.
will happen if they stop taking the product.
Yes.
So they've got the conditional community, but they've also got like the fear attached to their health.
Yeah, it's like it sounds like the equivalent of like, a fear of spiritual consequences or a fear of hell. Like it's
Mhm.
like that sort of, you know, um fear indoctrination that happens.
Yeah.
What was that like for you? Because I mean, you
Yeah.
obviously had the same fear indoctrination as well around the
Yes.
products and so what was unlearning that like for you?
Yeah. Well, one of the things was, I was saying with Lula Rich how I said, oh, we don't stockpile products. We
Yeah.
actually do. And and so one day I realized, like, because we were buying it for people that couldn't afford it,
Mm,
because you believe that you're saving their life. So there were people that I would buy it for, or that I would make arrangements because they couldn't get a credit card. So I would just say that they could e-transfer me, which they wouldn't always do, and things like that.
yes.
So I had, and you're giving samples to people, and you're encouraged to use the shake mix to make baked goods with. So you're overusing the protein powder. So you're having to buy double stock of that. So I did have boxes and boxes of stuff.
Yeah.
And I I was scared to stop. But then as I was learning about it, I was getting angry to see the bottles. So I was at the same time angry at that being part of tied to my identity and scared to stop. But ultimately, because money was such a concern, I decided to box everything up and return what was unused and unopened. And I had like these boxes I brought to the post office, returned it, got a credit. Unfortunately, my credit card was charged a couple more times mysteriously. I had to cancel a credit card because it got charged twice after I canceled everything and returned everything.
Yeah.
And I had developed disordered eating. So because they have an eating, part of the control, part of the behavior control is controlling your diet. And so there was a lot of fear indoctrination, not just with what could happen if you weren't taking these products, but with certain foods like dairy, gluten, sugar.
Yeah.
Intermittent fasting is part of the regimen. And so I was really like dairy particularly was a hard one for me because they had done so much of like how it's inflammatory, and then I'm also like learning this and then teaching this, which is ingraining it deeper into me. And I'm like, I'm in my 40s and I should probably, my husband's like you need to care about your bones and you
Yeah.
know
Need some
uh
calcium.
yeah.
Oh,
So he was encouraging me to start having dairy again, and I agreed to buy like plain yogurt, plain grass-fed yogurt. And I was like, I'll never forget, I was actually scared to start consuming yogurt, that it would make me become inflamed and I would have joint pain and then it would continue on. So now I'm obsessed with yogurt and I have yogurt every day. So I really thoroughly got over it.
yeah.
Nothing bad happened. And then I had blood work, and my practitioner was like, this is like great blood work. And I walked away from that going, and this is where I'm going to swear, motherfucker. If I had been in the company at this time with these results, I would have been shouting from the rooftops how these products resulted in this perfect blood work,
Yeah.
where I have great iron, vitamin D levels, spot on, all of these things, and it wasn't anything. And that's when I got really angry, actually. Like I was happy and validated and angry
Mm,
because you're so indoctrinated to bring everything that's good in your life and connect it right back to the company and product.
mm. I mean, I talk about anger so much with my clients. And so, like, was that anger validating or were you terrified of it at the time? Because anger is such a powerful emotion.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, I would definitely say validated. The other thing that was one of the most anger-inducing moments was before I had officially resigned, when I was in that depression period,
Yeah.
I got a phone call from the head office and they had blocked the number, so it was an unknown caller. And when I answered and it was them, and they were telling me that I qualified for a trip to Mexico.
Oh,
After that phone call, I like angry cried. I like sobbed because I didn't qualify. They just they just fudged things so that I could get that invitation so they could suck me back in.
yeah.
And I worked so hard for so many years and never qualified for anything cool like that ever. I was always short, always. So then when I pull away, suddenly I qualify. And because there was no fucking way I was going to go on that trip.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was some big anger there.
Yeah. I mean, like, I almost want to call
And it
it.
was Easter weekend, ironically.
Oh,
And they called me on Good Friday, and of this Christian company.
oh
And I had to
no.
let them know by the Easter Monday if I was going to be going or not to this
Oh,
trip that happens in a month. Like,
yeah. I mean, even that time pressure is like part of it, right? Like there's so many like little tiny things that don't have any seemingly great meaning, but putting them all together just reinforces all of those control tactics that are there to keep you in line and to keep you doing the thing that they
mhm,
want you to do, right?
mhm,
Don't think about it too long or she'll make the decision that we don't want her to make, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
And you had also asked me about what the company's like now
Oh,
since
yeah.
I've left, and I forgot to answer
No,
that.
that's okay. I think I might have asked you like six other questions after. That's my ADHD. I'll ask a question and I'll forget. Oh,
Um, so it appears that they had some issues with their being deemed a high risk um, for lending money. So I guess some of their during the time that I was in, I had no idea, but they had been bought by a Silicon Valley company. And like us reps who are like owning our business, we're not even told this.
Yeah.
So apparently, like I didn't find this out until after. So while I'm in, they're bought by Silicon Valley company, and then now they've been bought by a company that I guess their job is to like sell off parts and try to make it work. And it's not the, caring about you like a member of the family type of idea that's being sold. So
Yeah.
I feel like it's only a matter of time, but that's just my opinion based on my internet sleuthing.
Yeah.
Um,
Yep.
it yeah, I mean, as far as MLMs go, there are a lot of flashier ones
Mm.
and you know, it's rinky dink.
The
It's pretty
appeal, the
rinky dink.
appeal is not quite there anymore.
I mean, I hear that
Yeah.
in Australia, it's pretty, I don't know, people are promoting it. The Juice Plus Australia Instagram account is pretty funny because they did a one reel that was like um where all of these reps are like reading a cue card and it says, "Is Juice Plus a cult?" No, cults are illegal. Or no, is it a pyramid scheme? Is it
Oh
a pyramid
boy.
scheme? No, pyramid schemes are illegal. And then
Oh,
they're just saying like their reaction. It's supposed to be lighthearted, but it is,
yes.
the comment section is pretty funny on that one.
I mean, and what was it like for you when you started using language like MLM and pyramid scheme and commercial cult and like all of this
Mhm.
language? What impact did that have on you?
Mm. Uh, yeah, I wrote a Substack about that early on because I found the like once I had the word commercial cult, I was like, oh, it just all made sense to me. Like it made sense to me how this works, how a person is attracted to this kind of a situation, why they stay as long as they do. It was just incredibly validating. So I felt seen.
Yeah,
And yeah, it was empowering to be able to have that label. And then, of course, hear other people in commercial cults and have all these things in common with like, yep, 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 me too, me too, me too, me too.
yeah, yeah. What was, I mean, what was the emotional impact of having the words "I was in a cult"? Because that's really different for a lot of people, I think, being, having that language.
Hmm. Hmm. I mean, for me, uh, I find it really helpful. I find it really helpful for me. I find that most people don't really get it because they still associate living in a commune. They don't realize how cults run online. And that's something that needs to be more understood because it's only going to it's only going to increase. It only is increasing.
Yeah.
um, people are getting radicalized online every day.
Mm,
So that misconception needs to be corrected because people had no idea. My husband, my mom, my best friends had
mm,
no idea what was happening in those Zoom rooms.
yeah,
Just like, I gotta go on a call. They have no idea.
yeah.
And I just have to watch this video and I have to attend this event. And they're just seeing the pictures, but they're
Mm,
not understanding the process of what's actually happening.
yeah. What impact did it have on, and this is, I'm sort of like jumping back a little bit because it just sparked in my head, because a lot of people have this image of cults in that you typically it requires you to cut off your family and friends, right? And
Hmm.
so,
Hmm.
like, what impact did it have on your relationships with your family and friends?
Yeah. So there was a lot, just like every other group, some people don't get it. They don't know what they don't know. Love them where they're at, but there's like, it wasn't like cut them out of your life, but it's like love them where they're at in a pious sort of like, they don't know what they don't know. You like us versus them,
Yeah.
gentle us versus them kind of languaging, which really it was effective. That hearing that message again and again and again did really make me feel like I was part of something and everybody else was on the outside of it.
Mm,
And I was quite disassociated. Like if I look at pictures of or videos of myself, my eyes are completely different. I was showing my best friend and she was like, "Whoa." And she noticed because during the pandemic, she lived with us in we had an upper apartment where we lived, and she was divorcing from a 20-year marriage. So we were around each other a lot during the pandemic, during lockdown, which was ended up being, I would say, like quite a protective factor for me to have because she's been my best friend since second grade. So she's one of those people that I am myself with.
Yeah. And she knows you.
So
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. But during those days when we were kind of living together, she knew like her niece came to visit and said, like, do you ever notice Brandie's like kind of checked out, like her eyes, it's like she's not there. And she's like, oh, well, because I'm a scattered mom, she's like, that's just her. Like she didn't really see it. She made excuses for me.
Mm,
And we were still connecting as best friends, but now on the other side, and especially when she sees a video or something like that, she's like, yeah, 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 yeah. I see, I see
yeah.
that now. And so with like family, I literally am pitching because,
Yeah.
or families legitimately asking, like, did you think that product that you're selling, do you think that would help me with my low iron? And I'm like, cha-ching, yes. Blah, 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 blah. And then I'm like going into the mode, right? And then I'm following up with my freaking aunt. And then she's saying ultimately no.
Yeah.
Or I had another aunt who was an organic farmer and we had like aeroponic garden towers and she was considering buying like 12 of them. That was going to be like a huge sale for me.
Mm,
And it would have been great for pictures and all of that.
mm,
And then when she ultimately was like, no, because in a connection call I set her up on, she could see the bullshit. She could smell the bullshit.
yeah.
It would make me feel disconnected from them because I felt like I was being rejected when it wasn't me who was being rejected. It was the company and the weirdness that I was part of that was actually being rejected.
Yeah.
So it made me feel sad. It made me feel alienated. It made me feel one step removed, and I have had to repair
Mm,
those relationships. Um, and I'm lucky that I have. I'm lucky that my mom has always been a support and that my husband and I have been married for so long
mm,
and that I have my best friend since second grade and my other best friend since high school.
yeah.
Those are all things that help me a lot. And I know that not everyone has those kinds of supports, which makes, adds that moral injury for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. How do you feel about MLMs now? And how do you see them
Ugh.
progressing? Like, do you just see them getting worse? Do you just see them being more covert? Because like I think they're a little less obvious sometimes than they used to be, but how do you see it?
Mm. Oh, well, I can smell it a mile away. Uh, my opinion on them is that they should be banned. There is no such thing in the history of ever of an MLM that doesn't actually meet the requirement of a pyramid scheme.
Yep.
However, as the government is going the direction that it's going, I feel that we're getting farther away in a surprising turn of events. We're getting farther away from that being able to happen. And it has to do with government political lobbying and things like that. So it's going to be a codependent enabling relationship in terms of
Mm,
the powers that be, in my opinion. And so that's why advocacy is so important because that's going to be the only way that we can help arm consumers because the people at the top don't have the
mm,
ovaries to do it.
yeah. Yeah. And I guess I want to ask a question because you hinted at the beginning when I like made a comment about it that you were hoping we'd chat about it. What link do you think this has with like I mean, and obviously I'm sort of referring, we have it here in Australia in a different flavor, but particularly in the US, like we're obviously seeing the rise of Christian nationalism and things like
Hmm.
that. And so what do you see as, because I'm sitting here as like a ex-Christian going like I can see the links between, MLMs and Christian circles, but how do you see those links with the added benefit of you were a part of this for a decade of your life?
How do I see them linked? Like,
Yeah,
hopefully I'm answering this the way that the way that makes sense to how you phrased it. But I mean, the link that I see is that if you can recruit particularly young mothers,
yeah,
then that is a perfect tool of oppression because you're keeping them, they're already busy, you're keeping them extra busy, you're ensuring that they stay out of actual gainful employment, which would give them more independence. So they're more dependent, they're busier, and they don't have the ability to think as clearly and
yeah,
I know that that's strong words.
yeah.
Um, but that's what I see and believe.
Yeah. I think I also like, and I've seen this in, circles that I used to run in as well, which is that in really fundamental, high control religious spaces, they're also, far more susceptible to that sort of like conspiracy, like very,
Yes.
um, like seemingly extreme views and things like that. And so,
Hmm.
like, particularly those wellness commercial cults really appeal. The amount of people in my former community that are like essential oil as like and that sort of
Hmm.
world
Hmm.
really appeals to people who are wanting to do things naturally and holistically
Yeah,
and
yeah, yeah, yeah.
and that sort of like very wellness pseudo-spiritual lens I think appeals to that
Hmm.
group as well, and they know the language that they want to speak, and so they speak that
Hmm.
language at them, right?
Yeah, it's the whole identity package and like using, yeah, like, I also see, people using Christianity, like it's affinity fraud when you're kind of like literally going into a church to scoop them up to say like, because generally if someone was evangelizing at the workplace, I would think in most workplaces it would be told that that's not appropriate, right?
Yeah.
But here we can do that because that's what we're all about. We're sisters in Christ.
Yes.
So that as well. And then another piece, like I'm in my final year of school, and this year is our concentration topic, research topic.
Yep.
And what I'm looking at, what I'm really curious about, with like my big question still is how commercial cult involvement mirrors narcissistic abuse
Mm.
and how that it impacts neurodivergent communities a little differently. It hits
Oh, I
different.
love this. I love this. I love it because I literally just wrote a Substack on how my former church, like, of course, my ADHD worked for my ch former church until it didn't, but
Mhm.
I love everything about that. So that's exciting. Yeah.
Yeah, so if somebody's experienced narcissistic abuse, then this would feel like a really like familiar environment.
Yeah.
And also in any type of so many times I've heard people that are in cults also do MLMs. It's like cults within the cult.
Yeah.
And it makes sense because it's all following the same template. It's like you said, it's all the same language.
Mm. Yeah.
So,
I mean, and I talk about this quite a bit in terms of like, even the support for religious trauma and cult recovery, like religious cult recovery is few and far between. Like, we are not a huge group of people, particularly here in Australia. But I imagine that support for people coming out of commercial cults is probably even trickier because I've seen some therapists who are also part of these groups. And so
oh
you
yeah.
like the crossover of like the therapeutic world and that sort of like wellness world as well. I imagine getting support for this coming out of these spaces would be incredibly tricky.
Yeah. And I found that when I was working with my therapist, I had to spend sessions, plural, explaining
Oh,
the structure, the language, like what this is what an upline is, this is what
yeah,
volume is and how we were incentivized and what happened in the like there was just so much I had to educate on before we could even get to the work of like recovering and
yeah.
healing. from what I'd gone through. So yeah, it's frustrating if you have to teach your therapist
Mm.
about. So absolutely. Yeah.
And I mean, before I sort of finish with a similar question for all of my episodes, but I know that something exists. And so for listeners, tell everybody about flipping the pyramid.
Yeah, thank you. So Flipping the Pyramid is a nonprofit organization that I started to provide peer support for victims and survivors of commercial cults.
Yeah.
One of our board members is in New Zealand, actually.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah, yeah. She's come out of, she was in a Nagic and also in a coaching cult.
Ooh.
Yeah, she was in ABC. You know, ABC, obviously.
Yeah.
Yes, the news outlet there.
Yeah.
There was an article that she was in exposing the leader and all that. So I can send that to you if you want to check it
Yeah.
out since it's kind of local.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we meet once a month right now.
Yeah.
So it's the second Tuesday evening of every month. Typically, in Australia, it's the second Wednesday morning,
Mhm.
typically.
Yeah.
And the dates are always listed on flippingthepyramid.com.
Beautiful. And I will pop that in the show notes for people who want to find out more about it. What has it been like for you to be able to provide that support to other people to sort of like flip that narrative even for yourself?
It's wonderful. Like every month when I have a meeting, I'm always thinking, nobody's probably going to come. And people always come. And it is validating because so many years I would hustle for these stupid events, following up and blah, blah, blah. And now it's just like build it and they come because it's needed, because it's actually needed, unlike
Yeah.
bullshit supplement.
Yep. Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's I think I think peer support is a really powerful avenue for cult recovery. I think just being able to
Mhm.
exist in a space with other people who you don't have to educate, who
Mhm.
understand the dynamics and the psychological hold that a lot of these organizations have, not having to convince someone else of that would just be a beautiful space that's being created, I
Yes,
imagine.
it
Yeah.
is. Yes.
Okay, I love to finish these episodes with some encouragement for people. So, what would you say to someone who is listening and they think that they might be part of a group like this and they want to leave, but they feel trapped?
Hmm. Okay. I would say I feel that most people in this situation have a tremendous amount of guilt.
Yeah.
And part of the guilt is that they wonder, are the people who got me in or above me, are they bad people? And am I going to be letting them down? They've worked so hard for me. They've poured into me, etc. And so I would just let them know, that's a complicated piece in terms of are they bad people, because sometimes the victims become the perpetrators, unfortunately. But what's most important is you and whether or not you are making the kind of impact that you want to have, not the kind of impact that you've been told you should be having. So go easy on yourself, forgive yourself, because if you knew what you knew now, you never would have joined.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. I love that. And thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you, Sam. It was so nice to get to hang out.
Thanks for tuning in to this episode of Beyond the Surface. I hope you found today's conversation as insightful and inspiring as I did. If you enjoyed the episode, be sure to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with others who might benefit from these stories. Stay connected with us on social media for updates and more content. I love connecting with all of you. Remember, no matter where you are in your journey, you're not alone. Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep moving forward. Take care.